Live from a Zoom meeting recorded weeks ago, it's Phoenix. Tonight, will Phoenix survive the quarantine? Find out with your co-hosts Emily Astril and professional self-isolationist, your host, Russ Kazmierzak.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Phoenix. Tonight, the Valley's only podcast that's asking the hard-hitting question, will Phoenix's art scene survive the pandemic? Will Phoenix culture survive quarantine? This is the only podcast where the jokes are still 6 feet apart. My name is Russ. Thank you for joining us. I'm here with my co-host, Emily, as always. Hey, Emily, what's going on?
What is up? It's been a simple weekend for me, so I'm enjoying it for once.
Oh, good. I'm happy to hear it.
What about you? Any craziness? Any cool things?
Absolutely. My girlfriend Randy and I are shucking and jiving all over town as if COVID-19 never happened. 3 nights of karaoke. We went to the Tempe Improv last night. We're recording this on Monday. We saw Sinbad Sunday night at the Tempe Improv. Great show.
Yeah.
And not a mask to be found. I mean, it's like, the latter half of Jim Carrey's career. Everybody's trying to forget about the mask. And that was a good line. I just came up with that one right off the top there. And of course, at the Improv, they were practicing social distancing where a lot of tables were closed. It was the room was probably at half capacity, and the servers were all wearing masks. Some were wearing gloves. They opened early, and the food service was immediately available. When the show was over, we were ushered out promptly. No photo opportunities, no meet and greets. Just get the hell out of here. We got to wipe everything down. And Sinbad put on a great 2-hour show. Just Sinbad, no opener, no middle. He just walked on stage and performed for 2 hours straight with a hilarious set, a poignant set, a generous set. Man, the guy talks to the audience the whole time. And I don't mean he's an insult comic or he's doing harsh crowd work. He is engaging with his fans while he's up there. It was awesome. We had a great time. And at karaoke, we had a mix where one host, one KJ, as they're called, karaoke jockey, would spray down the mic after every performance, offer each singer his own mic cap, so to speak. And then another place we went to, no big deal. Everybody shared the mic, spat right on the mic, it was crazy. I mean, it was literally the argument of safety versus raw dogging it. It was the difference between meeting somebody on Match.com versus meeting somebody on Grindr. I think there was it was different. Two different sides of the spectrum there, but fun no matter what. And if this is our last show because I'm dead next week, now you know why. But hey, Phoenix is coming back.
It is. But you're lucky. Your stuff is still kicking and moving. The music festival we were supposed to go to July 4th got pushed. So yeah. I'm kind of bummed, but I'm ecstatic that you saw Sinbad. I love that dude. He always, he has his criticisms, but he did grow up from a different time, and I know that's something a lot of us are not allowed to say that, especially myself, because, what I am and what I'm going through, it's that's not an excuse type thing, but I love it because it is one of those things you can learn things from him, man. He came from a rougher time and a different time. My favorite thing about him is one of his, I don't know if he still does it in his skits anymore, but he always points at the youngest person and he brings up old things these cheesy things like not a fax machine, but like an answering machine turning the channels. TV used to just end. That was actually one of my favorite skits where he's like TV used to end. There was 3 channels and you hear bum 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 bum. It's like, oh shit. Gotta go to sleep. It's something like that. I'm not trying to copy him verbatim, but I was like, wow. And the funny thing, one of my youngest childhood memories was still relevant with the Spanish stations. So the Spanish stations, if you woke up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, it would just be the Nuvius, whatever channel, and it would just have their logo and be and so pretty much the news came on or something. Like the news was
Sure.
the first show of the day. But that was like, I think either I was 2 or 3. That was like my youngest. So I
Wow.
kind of like got till end of it, but it's just like a glimpse. Like, oh yeah, I remember they used to do that, or I
Oh yeah,
remember just that tidbit.
absolutely. I remember actually when I was very young in Connecticut, I would wake up some mornings so early that TV hadn't started yet. So you would sit there and look at those colored bars, just watching the clock until
Yeah.
5 or 6 a.m. and then boom, Romper Room came on or something like that. Like this is going to sound old manish, but like kids nowadays don't know what those colored bars are. You know,
Yeah.
that's just like some sort of weird vintage art, abstract art piece to them. But for us, it was kind of the all stop on TV. Now maybe you should go to bed, you weird stoners. What are you doing up this late? There's no good reason.
Well, it's also a color scale. So,
Well, true, I guess.
but you
So
know,
it's a technical
okay.
purpose.
So here's a good one. This is a simple one, and it's kind of crazy that there's now going to be a generation where they don't even know what snow is. You
Oh,
know,
sure.
those in
The
between
static.
channels. Like now, sometimes once in a blue while you get snow, but there's no sound. Like
Right.
you know how to cut out the sound or something, but just like just I remember flipping through channels, even when you had programmable channels. You know, you would get that one channel that would snow, when you were like, oh, you know, because you
Sure.
had access to the channel, or it was a lot of that weird. It was kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
weird growing up like
Well,
that.
fun fact, when I was a kid, I could not fall asleep unless that snow was on. I mean, now it's like
Really?
kind of chic to fall asleep to white noise or something. But when I was
Yeah.
a kid, I had to have that on, and it had to be loud, not
Yeah.
just like ambient in the background. I'm talking about like crank the volume up to 80 on the TV loud. And so when
Wow.
I'd sleep over at friends' houses, I would have to wait for them to fall asleep because I couldn't fall asleep in silence, and then turn their TV on low so it wouldn't wake them up and sleep with my ear right on the speaker of the TV. And then they'd wake up, see me, think I was a weirdo, go over, turn the TV off. They'd go fall back to sleep. 15 minutes later, I'd wake up, turn the TV on. It was this weird tug of war with that static until the sun rose. And it was just like, you know what, Russ, why don't you go home? And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll go home and sleep for real. It was crazy. And yeah, nobody will know what that static sound. That static sound is only via the white noise your, you know, meditation app will play for you now.
Or you know, it's a funny thing. So I do make music, and I'm always saying this as like because this is my solo stuff, a solo project or like a side project. I play. I have an experimental gimmick, and the name is Aries Rabbit. And Aries Rabbit is just this thing where I just make experimental music, and it's music I would never really. I know a bit about, but I don't know how much about it. But I know I can make it, and sometimes it is a little bit easier than normal, than you
Hmm.
would expect, and it's considered music. And uh, I think noise music would probably be one of those things. If you could find that right album, that would probably be your sleep album. And it's literally just like layers to like someone just like, you know, making noise, and it's actually a thing. This is not like, AMSMR, where they're trying to make the noise like all
Right.
soothing. Like it's sometimes
Yeah.
it's just brutal like noise. And there's people that sampled that original snow and like, layered
Oh,
it
sure.
on things, or layered snow on snow on snow on snow. Like
Oh, interesting.
it's a crazy thing. So if I ever find something like that, like a snow song or something, I would probably be like, here, Russ, I think this is your new
Sure.
sleep album when you need to sleep.
Yeah. Snow on snow on snow. That sounds like Bobby Brown's bathroom counter. But
I needed that. I've actually had an awkward day, and this is a good joke. Sit back, this,
well, I
talking about
got some
snow.
more. I wrote some. I've been watching the news. I wrote some jokes. Who knows?
Oh, wait. But I gotta say this. Here's my joke.
Okay.
Yesterday was actually two people's birthdays, and for some odd reason, I don't know why, I did not want to pay my bills. I don't know
Oh,
why. I don't know why. But
you're talking about, of course, June 14th, Boy George's birthday. That's what you're.
there you go.
No, of course, it was President Donald Trump's birthday, as we're recording this yesterday, June 14th. But of course, since the last time we aired an episode of Phoenix Tonight, we also celebrated Donald Duck's birthday. A lot of people don't know that Donald Duck's birthday, the anniversary of his creation, the celebration of his creation, was also earlier this month. 2 Donalds in 1 month. Of course, these Donalds are totally different from one another, right? One was essentially created in the 40s, is known for shaking his fist in anger at the slightest provocation, and often doesn't wear pants. The other one, of course, is Donald Duck. So, yes, the old switcheroo, the element of surprise.
I'm not even joking. Like, oh, you're talking about Donald Duck, and then you're like, oh wait, no, you're not.
You know, we were talking about canceled TV, basically, as well, right? TV that stops. Well, that happened for one of the longest running shows on TV this month as well. Cops was canceled.
Yeah.
In the light of everything going on, Cops was canceled. And, you know, that's hard-hitting news for meth heads, you know. How are they going to get on TV? Somebody asked a meth head, you know, how do you feel? And he goes, what do I got to do to get on TV now? Marry 2 dudes and raise a tiger zoo? Is that what I got to do to get on TV as an innocent meth head? Timely. These are ripped from the
Oh my God, Russ. Well, you know what's the funny thing is, like, a lot of people are having the hurrah that Cops is over, but people don't really pay attention to TV. And I think there's actually something called PD Live.
That was canceled too.
Was it?
Live PD was also canceled because I have watched that since the beginning. And what's interesting about that on a serious note is Live PD was originally pitched, I want to say in the wake of the George Zimmerman case and all that
Really?
stuff. I could be wrong. It could have been a case after that of similar unfortunate circumstance. But it was meant to offer a transparent look at cops. And it was very clear from the first episode that it was inadvertently or perhaps overtly, I don't know, but it very quickly became pro-police propaganda. And my girlfriend and I watched it all the time. And when circumstances seemed to get a little hairy, they'd always cut away to another county or another city. Oh, here we are in Richland County in Virginia. Let's see what's going on. Oh, wait a minute. Those cops are putting their hand. Let's cut over to Williamson County and see what's going on over there. So we certainly had our favorite officers on that show. There were some officers that I would say represented the best of policing. And I think if you watched just those departments, you'd be very surprised at what's happening out there. But there were other departments, there were other cops that were clearly the jerk cops, and you'd watch them for that sense of entertainment. But there were several episodic segments in that, several anecdotal moments in that show where I was like, I need to see a little bit more on that. I need to follow up on that. I'd like to know the rest of that case. So all that's to say that I'm not surprised that Live PD is a casualty in this, because it didn't offer a balanced look. In other words, if the cops can do no wrong on a show called Live PD, it's certainly skewing the potential for human error. And as we've seen recently, some straight up evil crap. So if you're not going to show us that, so it helps the good stuff really shine, then the whole thing is, kind of a comedy of errors. So anyway.
There seems to be a lot of errors. I mean, we have cell phone problems, we have governor problems. I mean, we have a bunch of weird things where it's just like, things are just super, super awkward right now. I think you're pretty much noticing them. Like, I think a lot of people are noticing these things. And the funny thing is, like, the people that were like, I forgot the state or the county or whatever, but the mayor and everything, where they took a knee and they had like the African things on. I forget, the scarves or whatever.
Sure.
Well, I guess, I don't know. This is like, this is not like one. I haven't done my complete research, but I guess supposedly those scarves are actually a part of some tribe or like some group that is like really, really bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it seems like either the government or whoever knew and purposely did it, or somehow magically, accidentally, this happened.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy right now because it's like one. I don't want to stand on it 100% because I didn't fact check it, but it's just like whatever happened to people that used to work as fact checker? Like,
Oh,
what
right.
do? I check the facts. I just double check the history. I just see a pattern on something. Let me check that too. Let me just double check these people's work. And fact checkers aren't a thing anymore.
Well, and that's because you have 24 hours. I mean, the theme in our introduction here seems to be pretty consistent. We're talking about television, basically, and the nature of TV.
Yeah.
24-hour news is still relatively new in our kind of pop culture zeitgeist, in the realm of entertainment, infotainment. Used to just be CNN, and then Fox News, HLN. I mean, C-SPAN's kind of like the public access of 24-hour news, where it's the quality is so bad, and yet that's where like real things are happening. But there are so many MSN. There are so many news channels. CNBC. I mean, just sitting here, they keep coming to me. You get 24 hours of programming to fill, and fact checking slows it down a little bit. So you just report and then apologize. Report and apologize. Report, prove it, validate it, say it again. That's when you watch the news and you realize they're saying a lot of the same stuff every 20 minutes or so. That's the stuff they were able to prove. So they'll repeat the same stuff. And every now and then, like you're saying, something crazy gets thrown out there and you're like, whoa, what? And then it doesn't come up again. And you're like, oh, okay. So
besides that, the cell phone one's a good one too. Like, just keep things lively. Because it's like, you were like not double texting me. You were just like, oh, I was getting like double text, but then again, I don't know if I was double texting you, and you're like, you sent something on Messenger and you're like, sorry, something's wrong with my phone, whatever. And I was like, what's the funny thing? I was like, a friend of mine was using, because we started texting each other, but we started using Messenger yesterday. And I don't know if that problem was yesterday, so I wonder if she had the same problem too with her provider, or this was just a today thing on the 15th.
I think it was just today, Monday. T-Mobile, AT&T. I saw a bunch of different stories. T-Mobile, AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, all had a drop in service, or what do they call it? Like a spike.
I don't even know anymore. I thought it's just some person that just got like that one bit of code where it's just like, here, everyone gets double messages now.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt like T-Mobile left work early to go loot the Verizon store. You know what I mean? I don't know what was going on.
By the way, things are still getting looted in certain
Is that right?
states. Yeah.
Wow.
It's crazy.
I'm surprised there's anything left, quite frankly.
Well, you know what's the funny thing is now some people are finding like the warehouses to like certain shops and stuff.
Oh my God.
Let's just say there's a lot of news reporters I pay attention to. But here I try to be more funny and just not be like a journalist or anything. But
sure,
one of them is a pretty prominent. I think I've already talked about him once or twice already. But Tim Pool ordered a skateboard ramp, and they literally put that Antifa was the reason why they didn't get their package delivered. Their skateboard ramp.
Wow.
So they're like, and then like they ordered clothes, and it took them a month. It was like, oh, so the warehouse got raided, or probably like, I don't know. That's what they're like saying. And I'm like, you know what? At this point, I'm not going to be surprised. Pretty soon they're going to be raiding the Amazon warehouses. It's like, God damn it, I ordered something today, and I'm not getting that until God only knows when.
Wow, you know what? There used to be a time when people would say protect the Amazon, and they were talking about the rainforests. You know what I mean? Now it's...
I love how I'm just helping you, giving those just quick zingers.
Zingers, because my list is, I'm done. These are just boom.
I mean, the joke was so like mellow. It was a good one.
Thank you.
I had to give it that home run.
We watched Avatar last night, so the wellness of the Earth is fresh on my mind there, I guess. But
it's crazy right now what we're going through. I mean, like, you got to enjoy some arts. Technically, you got to go to the improv. You got to go see some comedians. And from myself, I was waiting for an EDM show. EDM show got pushed to the side, and I understand because EDM shows or festivals, there's not going to be any social distancing, and
oh no way.
the numbers are going up. So I think today I might get my face mask so I can get on an Uber and go to a bar, drown my sorrows and my tears.
You know what? As long as the bars are still open, I'd almost recommend it. As long as the bars are still open,
Yeah. I hope Wilderness is open because it's outside, So
sure.
It's an outside, so I can, drink some craft beers. I don't want to be drinking craft beers and eating my tater tots or French fries that are made out of duck fat. Free advertisement for Wilderness.
Yeah, now, it's a good spot.
Give us a gift certificate.
Sure, we'll take a $25 gift certificate and a live broadcast from the patio one of these days. Why not?
That would be awesome.
We can guarantee at least 14 viewers inside of a week. At least.
I'm proud that we have a consistent 9 to 14 viewers. That's
right.
Impressive. It's like,
hey, do you half a dozen people out there? Thank you very, very much. And I think that accounts for each of our moms and. And 3 to 4
moms are not watching this thing because they know I've been doing my journalist thing. They're like, you can just put that shit because that's all. It's like, this is what I do. I wake up, if I'm not working, work on journalism, and then after I get some stuff done, I go play games. And then I get off the games, I go back to journalism. It's really depressing. It is just stop because it's like, one, I'm not getting paid for it. Two, I should just be working on my music. But I think because now I've been in a bit of a slump. Maybe after this podcast, I'd probably work on some stuff because it's like I feel better now. I can't. Yeah. Because I don't work on a lot of melodic or just sad music, so it would be great if I did. But I don't even have a sad song in me, so I'm like, I can't work on happy music because I'm not happy.
If that's not the name of a sad song right there, I don't know what is. I don't even have a sad song in me. I mean, that's the title of a sad song right there.
Yeah.
I don't have any sad songs left by Emily Estrell. Boom. Take it and run with it. Well, we are fortunate enough to have a guest this episode, and I'll introduce him now, and we'll bring him in here shortly. I've known this guy for several years here in the Valley, actually. We've met many times at Space 55, where we've each performed at their variety show, 7 Minutes in Heaven. I know that he has a history producing shows like that here in the Valley. I'm excited to talk to him about that. Most recently, he was producing a show at the Aside Theater called Phoenix Has Talent. And I think they got 2 or 3 shows in before COVID cracked down and the quarantine began. So he is booking shows for the near future. I know that he and I are working on something for July, and that's right around the corner. So I'm excited to talk to him about that. Brian Fletcher is our guest, everybody. Dig this.
Talking with.
This is Russ, and you know Emily?
I'm
just a random. I don't recall. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Kind of a Phoenix Tonight audience regular, and she's come to Space 55 quite a bit for 7 minutes. You'll probably know her when you see her.
Well, I've only done 15 shows over there, 7-minute shows. So we've probably seen each other.
Yeah. All right. Why don't we? I'm gonna start us fresh here in 3, 2, 1. Coming to us live while we're recording this, it's Brian Fletcher, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Brian, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing very well, thank you. So I'm excited to have you on because I feel like there's much to discuss. I introduced you and hyped you a little bit as somebody that has starred and produced several variety shows around town.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about your history doing that? Because I know it's a little more rich than I can just recall or recite off the top of my head.
Well, sure. I do have a great deal of theater experience, but I'm not going to. I won't go into that at the moment unless you want me to. However, given the current situation where all the theaters are shut down and we've already lost 3 and we're probably going to lose many more, I was producing a talent show called Phoenix Has Talent at the Side Theater, which is downtown on 7th Street in Osborne. They've gone out of business. They couldn't afford to pay their rent. They're one of the 3 that have closed so far. That was very, very disappointing to me because they gave me the opportunity to start producing talent shows several months ago. We have so much talent in the Valley. It's just amazing. And I couldn't begin to tell you where I found them all because most of my contacts are actors. But nevertheless, I would come up with at least 10 for each show. And then as things went on, people began getting in touch with me and asking me if they could be in the show. So that was very heartwarming. And then of course, the end of March, everything got called down. Everything got postponed. Yeah. So there was an article on Facebook about a month and a half ago by a major producer in the Valley. I won't give his name. However, he is on the verge of bankruptcy. And it just gave me the idea that why not do this? Because this was at the time that the restaurants and bars were closed. But I know from prior experience that a lot of them like to use talent, be it comics, music, dancing, whatever. So that gave me the idea. That got me started. And you cannot believe how quickly it's starting to come together for me. I've within 6 weeks, I have 2 gigs booked for July. I have a roster of 16 talent. And I've got 3 venues to speak with this week and 2 more next week. It's just happening so quickly for me. Yeah.
And to be specific, you've essentially started a local talent agency. Is that a fair description?
Well, I'm calling myself Golden Entertainment.
Okay. Very cool.
It's a booking agency, yes, and yeah, and one thing I am going to do is pay my performers, which not too many actors get paid in this town, or performers, and I feel it, and I feel it's not going to be a great deal of money, but it's going to be something, and it's just they deserve it.
Do you find in your experience here, I've been out and about for about 10 years now, and everything seems to either be grassroots or essentially city sanctioned. There seems to be a very hard line between something you might find, say, at Roosevelt Row on a Friday night versus what might be going on at like the Herberger Theater or any of the established museums. Is that a fair estimate, would you say, in your experience here?
Yes, I would. Absolutely.
Very good. I'm good to
but
get that
these
kind of validation.
People, go ahead. I'm sorry. What?
That's just almost like my middle-aged, embittered estimation of the scene, but I appreciate the validation.
Well, I've been involved here in the Valley for 30 years with theater. I'm an actor and have done a lot of stuff. Okay, besides acting, I've written 2 plays, produced them, directed them, did 15 7-minute shows at Space 55, and so I've had a lot of experience. Been in 25 plays, made 10 commercials. Yeah, so I thought with all that experience, I sort of know what's going on here in the Valley because all of this has occurred here. I moved here 30 years ago from Connecticut, and I started taking acting classes 3 years prior to moving here, and I got the bug.
Of course, yeah. I forget we have those Connecticut roots in common.
Oh, do we? Oh, well,
yeah,
Russ and I do.
I was born in Bridgeport.
Russ and I were born in the same hospital.
That's right.
St. Vincent's.
That's right. Yep.
Not in the same year, but
Oh well, no. But I did have to give my birth certificate to Joe Arpaio to prove it. So
are you serious?
no.
No. Okay.
Would it be uncouth to ask what the other two theaters are that didn't make it through the pandemic?
Besides the Side Theater?
Yeah.
Yeah, Black Box and Southwest Shakespeare.
Oh wow, wow.
And that's just the beginning, because I'm also a zoning adjudicator, and we lost 1/3 of our season this year, and next year I don't think they know what they're going to do, because so many theaters have not even come up yet with they're supposed to submit their season in July, because the year begins technically in July. So most of them have not even chosen plays that they intend to do, because their future is in doubt. We had 50 theaters in the Valley, and most of them are small, and they were going from show to show. I mean, even Phoenix Theater at the moment is in dire straits. Herberger will be fine, but Phoenix Theater I'm very afraid of. They've been in trouble for a couple of years now, and this is exacerbating it. They manage 4 theaters.
Oh wow! So yeah, resources are already kind of stretched thin.
Oh, very thin, and the other 3, besides the main stage, they've had a great deal of problems in the last year renting them, because they want too much money. They want $2,000 a show.
Wow.
Yeah, because I originally thought. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Brian.
Oh, I originally thought that when I was thinking about producing a talent show, I knew Nathaniel, and because I had done, they also do a vaudeville show there. They had been doing a vaudeville show there at the Aside Theater on Tuesday nights once a month, run by Brian Foley, and I went over there once, and I enjoyed it, and I sat there saying to myself, geez, you can do this. So the next one I went to, I spoke to Brian, and I was in his next show, and that's how I became associated with the site, because one thing led to another. Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, but go ahead.
I wanted to ask, why do you think it's so seemingly difficult to maintain momentum in the Valley? In other words, in just the 10 years I've been here, I've seen a lot of venues, long-running shows, including mine, come and go. And I'm sure in the 30 years, you've seen similar trends. What do you think it is about Phoenix where there's always this instability to the arts scene, where folks wonder if we even have one at all?
We do, for sure. I think it's economics. It's not talent. I think it's economics. With 50 theaters, that's a lot of competition. I'll give you an example. There's 5 theaters out in the Sun City area. Now they all do well, because a lot of the people who live out there are retirees, and they support it. And there are a lot of families, believe it or not, in Sun City, and they also support it, because I've reviewed shows out there, both adult and youth shows, and they support it. But that's unusual. A lot of the other theaters, they're operating on a shoestring, and they go from show to show. In other words, this current show will pay for the next show. I think that's a large reason why the ones that I've been associated with the exception of Aside, and I attribute that to, our current pandemic, they were all still in business. Okay. The first theater I performed at when I moved here was Scottsdale Center for the Arts. I did 4 plays there. At that time, they were doing stage plays and regularly. And then I moved on to Phoenix Theater and did 5 plays there. And then I moved to Florida and changed my career and became a hairstylist. So I was gone for a few years.
Sure.
But the smaller ones, it's an economic thing. Yeah, they're underfunded. You can't charge more. You know, they're charging $20-$25 a ticket, and and so it's not practical.
Let me ask the same question in a different way too, because you and I both know about the tremendous talent here in the Valley, and to say that there were 50 theaters here at one time is probably pretty eye-popping to a lot of folks. Why is it that I could sit, and that's one of the reasons I started Phoenix Tonight in the first place. You know, I could sit in a coffee shop and hear couples trying to plan their weekend, and all they do is complain about how there's nothing to do in the Valley. You know, how come folks don't know about how come like the non, I don't know, how come civilians don't know about these, all of these theater options they have?
Okay, two reasons. One, the theaters, this reason I'm going to give you, it applies both to the theaters and to the bars and restaurants that have entertainment. They cannot afford to advertise. It's too expensive. So to get the word out, they use social media, but I mean, recently Facebook has changed their algorithm and it's just so goddamn confusing. Yeah. But I think so. And I've talked to others who feel the same way. People use Instagram and Facebook are the two main ones I know. And anything else is just too expensive. Now, sure. I've been lucky. I really feel like I've been lucky, but maybe it's because I work hard and I've been in the right place at the right time. I made a contact with Channel 15, and I'm going to, as soon as this mess is over, with the pandemic and everything, she wants me to get together, and I'm hoping I'll get a spot on one of their morning shows and to promote Golden Entertainment. And I only made that contact because I was teaching makeup classes to cancer patients. I did that for 10 years. And they had a gathering back in November of a skincare company put it on. And there were people from all over the country here. And they wanted me to make a speech and talk about my experiences in the classes and the effect that it had on the people who were cancer patients or who had recovered, had cancer. And as a result of doing that, I met this woman, and the woman who invited me to do it, I invited them to come to my talent show, and they did in February. And cool. So the Channel 15 lady, we're friends on Facebook now, and she recently wrote me. She's still got me in mind, and things are such a mess at the moment, but I think there might be an opportunity.
That's great.
So that you've got to get your ass out there. You've got to get yourself out there. And this is my passion. Okay, 2/3 of my life is theater and all the other aspects. I'm telling you about the different aspects I've been involved in. The more you do, I discovered a long time ago, the more you're proficient at, the more opportunity you have to work. That's why I started taking classes with MAC Cosmetics, because I took an interest in makeup. And since I am a hairstylist, I mean, that's a given. But the people that would come in and do the hair and makeup for the shows that I was in, everybody loved them. And they just seemed to love what they were doing. And I wanted to be like them. So I started taking makeup classes. Yeah. And I've done a dozen plays. I was the guy that was one of the projects at Aside Theater. I was the hair and makeup guy. They would do one play a month, and I would do the hair and makeup for it. Yeah, that was a shit. Yeah, go ahead. But the more you do, the more you know, the more you're proficient at, the more you work. What's that?
I was going to say, you've made yourself not only an actor and performer, but a resource to theaters and to shows that you might not have otherwise been a part of.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this is how I am. Okay. I see an opportunity like with the with the talent shows. I saw the opportunity, and I'm going for it. And it's just, I can't tell you. It's 6 weeks since I hatched the idea, and I've told you what's going on. I've got 16 talent. I've got 2 shows booked in July already, and I'm visiting 3 more venues this week. And gosh, it's just amazing. But the theater, let me tell you something. Everybody right now is desperate. The performers, the talent, they're desperate. They're climbing the walls. And now, since the restaurants have opened, they're desperate for talent.
Sure.
Because of, I told you why. The one main company that was supplying talent to them is on the verge of bankruptcy. So that's where I come in now.
Sure. It's almost
and
like
you believe it, there's a lot of venues here all over the place that are that have stand-up comics or singers or musicians, and this is my list. This is what I have.
Sure.
Dancers. Yeah.
I was gonna say,
instead of theaters, and gosh, I sure hope with the recent spike in COVID cases that they don't decide to shut us down again. I mean, for me, it would be a disaster, and everyone else as well. I work at a salon, and we were closed for 5 weeks, and I was climbing the walls after 3 weeks.
Oh, knowing you after 3 days, you're always moving and shaking.
Well, I try to.
Did you find a little bit of I don't want to say relaxation, but a little bit of solace in the required slowing down of your life? Were you able to just take a beat, take a breath for a little bit?
No. I started writing a play, actually. I've written 2 plays and produced and directed them, and I started writing another one, but I was not able to get any further. Here's how I do my plays. I do them differently than others. I have the actors write them. Okay, actors are very talented people, and they really get the opportunity to do certain things. And I've done this twice. I outline the scenes. I outline the main what the play's about, and I outline each scene. I have them improvise the scenes, and I record them, and then we polish them up, and they do them a couple more times, and then we move on to the next scene. And the actors love it. I loved it the first time I did it. I did it 3 times, and I loved it because no one ever gave me the opportunity to write anything. And I have done improv comedy. I didn't tell you that one. I used to belong to a group in Scottsdale for a year and a half, and we did improv comedy. And if you can do that, you can do anything.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because that is the most incredible high, the adrenaline high that you can possibly have. Because if it works, and it always did anyway, because we had a great director. But you come off stage and you are flying. It's amazing. Yeah. Have you done it? Have you done improv?
A little bit. I mean, you're talking about a high. The little bit I've done, it's more like somebody spiked my drink. I wouldn't say I've.
Oh, okay. Well, this was a theater. This was a theater in Scottsdale. It held 100 people, and people would bring their kids. It was family friendly.
Cool.
There was no cursing. And kids are amazing. Let me tell you, when the director would ask the audience for ideas, and they'd be the first ones to yell out, "Oh, he's doing this," or "He's over here," or "He's that," and I love it. I love it. I love the kids. They're great. Now the guy, what?
Oh no, I was going. The way you write the plays is almost like the way Stan Lee wrote comics back in the golden age of Marvel. Because he just gave the artists a very loose script. Spider-Man fights the Scorpion, who's trying to kidnap Jonah Jameson. So then the artists would panel it all out. You know this probably, and then Stan.
No, I did not know that. I mean, you're the comic expert, so I did not know that. No.
Oh yeah, Stan would just say, "Hey, Galactus is going to devour the Earth," and Jack Kirby would run with that. Present 22 pages, Stan would look at it and
Yeah.
say, "Who's this silver guy on the surfboard?" Well, I guess I got to come up with dialogue for him
Mhm.
now, and it was very
Sure.
cooperative in that way. And the way you're talking
Sure.
about letting the actors craft their own dialogue is very similar to that artist drawing the panel.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. 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 It is very cool. Okay. It may sound a bit intimidating at first, but believe me, if you're an actor, you can do it. Okay. And you'll love it.
Sure. And it's generous
Yeah,
for you
so-
as the writer too, because I'm
What-
sure there are a
what-
lot of playwrights out there that are pretty possessive of the page. So
Well, extremely. This is a unique approach, and you are correct about that. And that's what I mean. I mean, yes, as an actor, you have the latitude to create a character, but as far as the dialogue goes, you have a script, and then you have a director, and he's the boss. And I've worked for all kinds of directors. Okay, so this gives the actor the opportunity to really express themselves. And when I said that, I outline the scene for them, and they tell them, go do it, do what you think, do whatever, and record it, and we polish it together. Okay, I'm not a dictator at all, because I always worked best with a nurturing director. I hated dictators. I couldn't. They made me very upset.
sure.
So I work best with nurturing directors, and in this approach, you have to be very nurturing, because when people are in a situation where they don't have any dialogue, you got to be patient and cool with them, and it works. Believe me.
Oh, I
Yeah.
believe it. It sounds great.
Yep.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yep.
So,
I started that, and but then after 3 weeks, I was climbing the walls, because I called a few people that I know, and I asked them if they were interested, and they were all afraid to get together.
Wow.
They were willing to do it virtually, but you can't. Acting is organic. Okay. I just don't like watching plays being done virtually. I've watched a couple, and they drive me crazy. And this is one of the things that I'm afraid of with the theaters here in town. They're going to be the last to open. Number one, from an audience perspective, and number two, from an actor's perspective.
Sure.
Because the actors are scared, to get on stage. I mean, you can be 2 feet away from someone, or 5 feet, or 10 feet. It depends, But all the people I asked if they're interested in participating in my play, they said no.
Wow.
They were afraid. Yeah. So that was
your first few shows coming up in July as we speak now. That's really only a month away.
July 7th is the first one.
Wow. Okay. So
and then July 21st is Russ. Russ is doing the 21st.
That's right.
That's right.
But
July 7th.
You're seeing that fear wane a little bit then in performers and venues. They're basically, are people just saying, screw it, we've been home long enough? Or
as far as what goes?
Well, as far as getting back out there, I mean, just willing to perform again in the first place. I mean, I know when you were writing your play, that was probably March, April. And, now we're June, July. Do you just think people are like, okay, we're over it, we're going out, we're going to perform? And the venues are like, yeah, we're booking shows, we want people to come.
Yeah.
Are you talking to the venues
true.
at all about the logistics of the social distancing and all that jazz, or
of the what? I'm sorry.
Like the whole social distancing thing. Are you talking to venues about how they're what the logistics are as far as the stage and where the audience sits and so on?
Can I be honest with you about that? I have not. I'm just beginning. Okay. So far, they don't care.
Yeah.
Nobody's wearing a mask.
That's not really your responsibility anyway. You're providing talent.
No, it's not my responsibility. No, that's not my responsibility. But the first two shows, the first one, they're solo performances. Russ is doing his own thing, and Am I talking to Russ?
Yeah.
You don't sound like Russ.
What?
Is that what? You don't sound like yourself.
It's me, I swear.
I believe you, but you don't sound like yourself.
Oh.
Okay, so you're doing a solo, and the first guy, he has a band. It's called One Way Sky, but he's the lead singer and guitarist, and he's going to do his own thing. He's not bringing the band.
Oh, great performer.
And they write their own music too. They were in one of my talent shows, and they're incredible.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Cool.
So he's performing.
Gonna be on my show?
No, he's performing on July 7th, and he's so thankful because he hasn't been working, and I know how he feels, and he's Brian. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hey, well, so am I, buddy. Believe me.
What is it?
I said, so am I. I'm appreciative too.
Thank you. Well, we have a lot in common, Russ, and we just love it. It's my passion.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know what you do too with the comic books, and that's a huge passion of yours. But I can still play Captain America,
Don't I know it? I've seen those.
Do you remember
ads.
that show? You remember your show at Sixth Sense? The tribute to Stan?
Yep.
Yeah,
honoring
that was fun.
Stan Lee's birthday.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah,
I
don't know
enjoyed
what I'm
it.
going to do this year for Jack Kirby's birthday. I usually host an event in August, and I'm not sure how to facilitate that this year. It's usually at a different venue year to year, and I've run the gamut of different kinds of shows. I've done game shows and art galleries and live readings of his comics.
Well, I've seen you do this show at Space 55, and Phoenix. What do you call it? Phoenix at Night or
Phoenix Tonight?
Yeah, I've seen you do it there.
Oh yeah, yep. And,
you're a good interviewer. You're a very good interviewer.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome. Sure. I think I was one of the people you interviewed in one of your shows. I think I was sitting on your couch.
You sure did. You did. You sat and performed.
I did, didn't I? Yes.
And you know what? It may
Yes.
have been in June, because the game show was, is it a Boy George lyric or a Donald Trump tweet?
That's right.
I probably would have only done that in June because they share a birthday, June 14th. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. 6/14. Yeah.
That may be 2-3 years ago from this very week. Oh, how cool it is then to have you on.
That's coming back now. Yep, I remember.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's too bad with Space 55 that they stopped doing those shows. I'm not sure what happened, but I know they have BJ Garrett's the new artistic director, and BJ is a great guy. I really wish him the best.
Absolutely.
I hope he's successful.
Yeah, that's good news.
You know BJ?
Yeah, of course.
What's that? Oh, you didn't know that?
I didn't know that. No, it's great news.
Yeah, he is. But I mean, they're caught in the same bind that everybody else is, and I know that they have a special arrangement with their landlord. It's a warehouse, and he made a deal with them. He's not going to press them on their rent. So they're fortunate in that regard.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah, they're fortunate in that regard. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, but BJ, Ashley stepped down. Ashley never wanted to be the artistic director. It's not, I mean, I know he didn't. He told me he didn't. And that's, Ashley is a good writer and a couple other things. And he did a good job.
Well, as you know.
But I think Dwayne did a much better job. You remember Dwayne Daniels, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, Dwayne is amazing.
Well, it's hard to be on both sides of the proverbial camera, so to speak. It's really hard to be a producer and a booker, a general organizer and the logistics person while wanting to perform and find that venue for your own talent, too. It's really hard to juggle all that stuff.
Well, Dwayne was able to do it. Dwayne had a lot of experience, you know that. Professionally. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And he did it. He did it very well.
Well,
I
and I think
thought,
Ashley did too, and the guy's just one of the best writers in town, quite frankly. So I don't blame him for wanting
you
to
talking
focus
about
on that.
Ashley, or you're talking about Ashley?
I'm talking about Ashley there,
Or
but Dwayne
yeah.
wrote a hell of a play himself too. That country
Well,
western
Dwayne was
musical.
a hell of a director and an actor, and
Yeah,
you know, he was a good producer. He was fine. Yeah,
sure.
I mean that's how he started at Space 55 because of Dwayne.
Yeah, oh
That
yeah.
was, you know, when they were under road location at Fillmore and 7th Street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, hey, let's plug the upcoming shows. We're going to post this week, so that'll give folks
Oh,
plenty of
cool.
time to prepare
Thank you.
and get over
Thank
the
you.
heebie-jeebies about the COVID-19. So we're talking about a couple of variety shows at.
Okay, they're Kimmy's on Tatum, which is
Okay.
at Bell Road and Tatum. It's Kimmy's Restaurant and Bar. That's where the shows will be.
Cool.
And you spell that Kimmyzs.
Oh, Kimmyzs.
Yes, I had to tell you that because I knew it's confusing.
Okay,
Her name is
sounds like
Kimberly, but that's how she has 2 restaurants, and that's how she spells it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say it sounds like a defunct clothing line from the '90s, but Kimmy's and Kimmy's.
Kimmy's, Kimmyzs.
Cool.
Kimmy's on Tatum. Yeah, and her other restaurant is on Greenway, but it's way out west. It's on 57th Avenue.
Oh, okay. In Greenway?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Her other venue? Her other
Yeah.
venue's on 57th Avenue, Greenway, yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Yep.
And so we're talking about July 7th and July 21st. Is that right?
Correct. Those are Tuesday nights.
Cool. And tickets, admission?
No, there is no admission. It's a restaurant. You can drink, you can eat. There's no admission.
Oh, great. So come on, dinner and a
And
show.
I have to give you another name because this is her show. Okay, she produces this show, and she and I we're really hitting it off. This is another thing that's happening like so quickly. Her name is Adriana Garland. I don't know if you know her.
I
She
do.
told me
of
she's
course.
a friend of yours.
Yeah.
You know her.
Yeah, we've been on shows. She's performed at the Cat Cafe when I've done stand up there. Absolutely.
Okay.
She's great.
Okay. Well, Adriana is this is her show, but she and I have hit it off. So I think we're gonna be producing shows together sometimes.
Very cool.
I mean, we are producing this one together, of course. But she asked me. She said, "Brian, do you have anybody that could do the 7th and the 21st?" And I said, "Well, let me ask, and I'll get back to you." And that's only because, you know, I went to see a couple of her shows, and we started talking a little bit, and I told her what I did, and I picked up two talent from her: a magician who's absolutely incredible, and a stand-up comic.
Oh,
and
great.
I need some more stand-up comics. I don't have enough, so because a lot of these bars and restaurants like stand-up comics.
Oh, sure.
So
I'm sure if you asked any stand-up comedian in town, they would tell you that the last thing they need are more stand-up comedians.
That's okay.
There's
That's
a lot
okay.
of them out there.
Well, I know Adriana knows a lot of them, and I know she'll help me if I need them.
Cool.
Because there's one venue that I'm going to be talking to where he had been using, he had been doing shows, but the guy who was producing them is in rehab now. And I gave him my card and I said, "Hey, I'll do it for you." And he said, "You will?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay." So I gave him my card, and that was a couple days ago. So I'm waiting to hear from him. He runs he owns Rum Runners. I don't know if you know that bar.
Yeah,
on
over
7th
kind of
Street.
near the Sunny Slope area, right?
Yep.
Cool.
And yeah, and he's a good guy to know because he's going to buy another restaurant. He told me on Greenway, and I know he's got money. Oh yeah, I know a lot about him because my best friend cuts his hair, and he knows all about him. He introduced me to him, as a matter of fact. He was used to having a lot of stand-ups, but I understand that you need a special license to do music.
Sure.
You can't just do music with your regular license. Now,
I've heard that too. That applies for karaoke and yeah.
Is that true?
I believe so. Yeah, you need. I don't want to say it's an FCC license, but something similar.
Well, what I'm going to do, because I'm going to do this the right way, I'm not going to screw around. I'm going to register the name, which costs $85 with the state of Arizona, the name Golden Entertainment. And I will find out from the guy's name is Jim Desmond that owns Rum Runners. I'm going to talk to Jim and find out. He'll know. Or I'll call the liquor board, whatever, to find out what kind of license we need if I do have music. I mean, I'm sure Kimmy has it because she does a rock and roll show at her other venue, and she lets Adriana do whatever she wants at on Tatum, and where you're going to be performing.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah, it does. It's exciting, man. I'm excited. You can tell. I know.
Oh, go ahead. I felt a compliment coming on. Go ahead.
No, I just said you can tell I'm excited. I know you can tell.
I thought you were going to say something like you just knew I was going to deliver for you on the 21st.
Oh.
But yeah, that.
Oh, I know you, Russ. Come on, I would not have asked you. You're amazing, man. You're great. And Adriana, she, I mean, you guys, you know each other, so you'll see her that night. She'll be there.
Oh, very good. Well,
yeah.
I think that there could be the strong potential for a renaissance coming out of this thing. That's why Emily and I started this podcast in the first place. We wanted to talk to performers and producers and movers and shakers in the Valley about, how this is affecting their mental health and their creative outlet. And
well, thank you. You know what? Thank you for asking me to do it with you because you where do you publish this?
It'll be on YouTube. I'll send you the link.
Oh, please. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. And I appreciate you doing the show, Brian. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. And thank you for asking me.
You got it.
We'll be in touch.
Okay. Sounds good. Take care, Brian.
Okay, Russ. You too, man. Thank you. Bye.
My thanks to Brian for being a guest on tonight's episode of Phoenix Tonight. Tune in next week for another fantastic episode as we interview another Phoenix-based creative. Emily, why don't you plug your social media while we're still recording?
Emily Estrell. This time I'll be doing the whole thing where we put our social media things on top again, so don't worry about that. Russ Kizmirzak. By the way, I found out how this camera thing works out before we go out. So you know how we have the whole. Is yours like a mirror? So technically, if you were looking at a mirror, your words.
Yeah, like my text is backwards to me as I'm looking in my.
Okay, so mine says gorilla. So I'm gonna point this way because I'm getting the mirror effect. I'm technically not pointing at you, but I'm technically pointing at you. It's one of those weird things.
Okay, yes. We'll see.
So we'll find out by production, and but my social media is there. Russ is over there, or vice versa. I probably messed it up again. But the point is, this one was kind of fun. I just got to be the producer behind this whole thing, just doing my production thing. I know a lot of you probably just looking at me, just making faces and looking around. And yes, the picture for our guest was replaced because the picture he left behind right before he disabled his his image for his phone. It was a very funny picture. Just that
it was kind of a
man status of like, oh, I have to answer the phone, and he answered it like this.
Yeah, so Brian, if you're still watching this, you're welcome, buddy. For somebody that's booking talent, we just wanted to make sure you had the optics were good for you. So.
Well, in the case of Brian, just skipped over our whole intro video, just went straight to this. So,
Sure.
I have a voice.
Honestly what I would do.
I have a voice.
Well, thanks again, everybody, for watching this episode of Phoenix Tonight. We really do appreciate you clicking this among the billions of videos you can watch. And thank you for joining us. We'll catch you next time.